Unfortunately, the PlayStation crashed this time, so we are quickly reloading. Hopefully we will not be too far back. The rain and perhaps a bit of hail has come down in my area. Cool off this place as it has been fairly warm as of late. Yes, it's coming down quite heavily. But I enjoy a bit of rain. In fact, I even opened a window to let some cool air into my house. Alright. Where did we end up? Seems we have to do the battle again. No, perhaps not. Alright, so it wasn't a huge loss. Just a slight setback. We'll see if perhaps we can save a few people in Whitechapel. Raise the status of the district.
Its effectiveness
Assuming
has
the
been
game doesn't
proven by
crash
many.
again.
Even the flu is no match for the
Good evening,
Swanborough
Benjamin.
cordial.
Can I help you?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Reed.
Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems, as long as you have the money.
How are conditions in Whitechapel these days?
I hear gunshots every night. It's just like the war in the trenches, Doctor. I can't stand it.
This elixir will give you faith again.
A gun, alcohol, and a...
It's... Good evening, my dear colleague.
How is the sanitary situation?
When people buy guns instead of medication, it means they have already traded hope for fear in their hearts. In my book, that's never a good thing, Doctor.
Remind you of any particular country?
I'd like to see what...
Gangs are ruining this neighborhood, if you ask me.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
You look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I have no doubt it will. But I'm not against a second opinion, Dr. Reed.
Well, there you have it. Take this remedy, but be discreet. It may damage your business otherwise.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough.
The
Gangs are ruining
Swanborough cordial can be the answer to all your problems, as long as you have the money.
Let's cure the old man's pneumonia, since we actually have a cure for it.
Give you faith again.
Good evening, Mr. Petrescu. What are you doing here?
I could ask you the exact same question, Mr. Doctor. Now leave me alone.
I heard what happened to Nurse...
Everything was going well until...
Maybe you should consider the bigger...
So you put an end...
You seem to have a lot...
I heard you are a famous surgeon. Tell me, what did you do to Dorothea? She was so bright, so clever. Then you made her an empty shell.
I didn't use drugs or medical trickery, Mr. Petrescu. All I did was talk to Nurse Crane. I promise you.
But what happened to her then? After you left, she did not even recognize me. Then she got careless and sick, and I had to flee.
Tell me everything you know about Camellia, the mute florist.
I do not believe in the afterlife, Doctor, but I'm almost convinced Camellia is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camellia, Mr. Petrescu?
Don't be stupid. If I had met her when I was younger, we could have won our revolution.
Who is she, really? Do you know where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name. It's her favorite flower.
You say she has no close family?
Well, there's that awful poet who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man for sure, but a very poor writer.
Tell me...
I do not...
What do you plan to do now that Nurse Crane is gone?
I'm not sure. Strange men came to see me after Dorothea's death, with strange weapons and very odd stories.
What kind of stories?
Stories all Romanian children know. It was as if I was home again. Vampires, Mr. Doctor. Vampires.
You believe them? Aren't you too old to hold a weapon or listen to scary stories?
Yes, I am old and alone and will die soon, but if these stories are true, maybe I have found myself another cause.
Are you living on the streets, Mr. Petrescu?
And why not? Those who believe they'll be safe behind walls are blind.
What about your house?
My house is always open to any poor soul needing a roof. All my work here is lost now that Dorothea is gone, thanks to you.
Why are you so aggressive?
I remember the night you came here and convinced me to open my door to you, sir. I'd like to punch you right on your chops.
How is the sanitary situation in Whitechapel?
Terrible, to say the least. Maybe now you understand the importance of Dorothea's work here. But you never cared, did you?
That's quite an accusation.
Stop pretending, Mr. Doctor. All you wanted was to confront Dorothea. You never intended to help Whitechapel's people.
There isn't just one way to help Whitechapel.
Your way seems to attract sorrow and despair, Mr. Doctor. Your kind of care is not what Whitechapel needs.
How do you feel, Mr. Petrescu?
I would not even accept fresh water from you, Doctor. I don't need your help.
Yes, you do. Please, take this. You'll feel better.
I said I don't want anything. But I'll keep this for those who really need it.
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
Funny how he suddenly takes the cure.
It's locked, all right.
You again? What do you want this time?
How is this?
I'm not easily scared, but crazy killers and armed patrols are lurking about. My son's right about this place.
Can I offer you my medical expertise, Mr. Peterson?
Keep your medicines for others.
There is a thin line between pride and stupidity, sir. Please take this medication. You'll feel better.
All right. I'll take it then. It's not like I don't appreciate the gesture.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson. Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure. Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
So,
I'm not bothered.
have you any recent news?
Nobody dares to enter the dispensary now. Rumors say the nurse has gone mad.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
Fancy buying something, sir?
You never lose your... How are the current...
When there's more people outside at night than during the day, then you've got to start to worry.
Right then. Show me what you have.
That's a bit expensive.
Where's my money? Time to pay, one way or another.
Let's go see if the nurse is still in. Another foolish ghoul. returned. It seems she became one of those Icor ones. Gained all of her medical supplies. With her slain, though, she'll free up the area, maybe increase things, now that the ghouls have been taken care of out of the dispensary. Well-timed ominous thunder out there maybe disagrees. Once we rest for the night, we'll know soon enough if by slaying her we've improved the area or not.
The West End. Never have I felt so sad to be back home.
more of each. See if I can find that one outside somewhere. See if I can save him before I rest. Skull I saw earlier through the fence. One of these exploding ones. She ain't alone. Whoa, that's a little much. Great, she followed me too. Oh, perhaps they left. Lucky for me.
Mother, good evening.
Jonathan! Is it you? Where have you been, my prodigal son?
I'm right here, Mother. I'm finally home.
Yes, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now found. But where is your sister? Where is Mary?
Mary? She is gone, Mother.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much. It's been days since their last visit.
Seems her mind is a touch
Mother,
scrambled.
do you know what's been going on in this area?
Not really. I don't go out much due to the epidemic, and when I do, I tend to get lost.
What do you mean you get lost? I hope you don't go outside alone.
Of course not. When I go out, your father always comes with me, but he leaves me there sometimes, and I have trouble finding the way back.
Have you returned to Whitechapel Cemetery since Mary's funeral?
I never want to go back to that awful place. Wait. I think I went back once. And you were there too. And Mary? No, that can't be true.
It was just a bad dream, Mother.
A nightmare, yes. Mary was so angry. I walked back home alone. If that kind policeman had not called Avery from the station, I don't know what would have happened.
Do you need anything, Mother? Can I help you?
I just want you to stay with me, Jonathan. Your room is ready. I asked Avery to make your bed.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise. Do you need anything else?
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my heart to look at those empty and dead eyes.
Are you working on a new painting?
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject, and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same thing when I try to write poetry.
I recently met a talented painter with an excellent technique. I wish you two could meet. I'm sure you'd like her.
I'd be glad to meet her. What is her name? Is she famous? Is she dead too?
She's not famous, and her name is of no importance. And yes, she is also dead.
The important thing is, I hope you two get along. If she ever fancies meeting your mother, I'd be glad to welcome her into my home.
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother? You know that's impossible.
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now? Why should it be any different with your sister?
But I'm not dead, Mother. I'm really here, talking to you, trying not to cry.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you this. But of course you're dead, my darling boy. Just look at you, as pale as my Mary.
But Mary really is dead, Mother.
Yes. And are you not dead too? Isn't your father dead? And my grandson, and my son-in-law, you're all gone. But you all still visit me from time to time.
Delusions, dementia, something along those lines.
Do you need my medical attention, Mother?
I'm all right, son. Don't worry about me.
Goodbye, Mother. Try to rest now.
Goodbye, son. Please come back soon.
Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan? I can't believe my own eyes. Oh, it's a miracle. We all thought you were... Oh, sir, your poor sister. What a tragedy.
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan? We needed you here.
How is my mother?
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Has she received appropriate medical care?
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France. I think leaving London could do her good.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it. I have to watch her carefully.
What is the situation in this part of town?
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my nephews. I'll stay, sir.
I'm sorry I could not be here for Mary's funeral.
Your mother was strong, sir, but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But I am sorry, I simply could not attend.
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
Tell me the truth, Avery. Do you feel forced to stay here? Would you leave this house without the arrangement made by my father?
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I lived.
This house is dead, Avery. There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir, so my task is not over.
You have served this family extremely well, Avery. Your support during these terrible times is much appreciated.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave, please, sir.
Do you really think I don't take enough care of my mother, Avery?
Yes, I do, Mr. Jonathan.
You clearly have something more to say. Speak your mind, Avery.
I know you work hard to help the sick, but what will you do once the epidemic is over?
My home is here, and I have nowhere else to go. But this house will need some improvements if I move here. Some radical changes.
That's good news. Whatever changes you have in mind, I'm sure we will find an arrangement that suits your mother also.
Goodbye, Avery. Please watch over my mother until I return.
Of course, Mr. Jonathan. But please return as soon as possible.
Finally visiting home. Ah, yes. See what the man on the street
Good evening,
says.
sir. Please forgive me for disturbing you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude.
and you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit, it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
You cannot expect the newspapers to expose the truth while the war is still raging. I can assure you that the situation here is desperate.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
Step outside your neighborhood.
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
How fancy.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
'Tis a way to a man's heart, so they say.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure I will.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
The lightning is right overhead. It's quite the storm out tonight.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell. The Ascalon Club, the heart of British vampire society. Not quite as subtle as I expected.
Between men and women. Women's right to vote is only the first
It has been such a long time since I last went to the theater.
Good evening, miss.
Oh my god, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte. What do you think about this part of town?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yes, I was born a few streets away.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
Bit of an odd style of flirting.
Is there something that's bothering you?
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich?
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
What are you doing out here?
You mean, what do I do outside at night, since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time. Even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see. And one day, I'll have my death to face.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she manages in the West End. When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16, though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
What exactly has your mother told you about me?
Your name and profession, obviously, and the mystery about your maker. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Of course not. You have nothing to fear from me, or your mother.
Good to know. And don't worry, my mother told me everything I need to know about vampire tricks, their nature as well as features.
Your mother is not like any other vampire I've met.
I believe she thinks the same about you, Dr. Reed.
Do you know why Lady Ashbury chose you to become her daughter?
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How was it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
How many of them did she feed on?
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Good evening, sir. May I have your attention, please?
Come on, Johnny. Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
I know what you mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny, I didn't want to sound selfish.
What is this new battle?
Well, I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other, and so many things have happened.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece, and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Interesting. Ah, he suffers from migraines too.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep. It's locked.
The monsters aren't that far away at all. Maze's district hasn't been overrun.
Ain't safe here for a gentleman. Go back home, idiot! Look at it! Fishing! Over there! There's one of them vermin!
Let's see if I can find this Kimura.
I cannot enter. It's locked.
Well, let's journey into the park and see what nightmarish creatures are hiding in there.
Best run along over there!
won't stop! Fuck! Let's pin it down!
Slaying them doesn't get you much.
I cannot enter.
It's funny how the ghouls and the hunters can be so close to each other, and yet they don't always fight.
You're bleeding!
Yes, I don't need to fight 3 of them and a vampire at once. Oh, bloody hell. Time to get out of the park. Maybe when I upgrade my gear and gain a few levels, it might be worth trying.
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
Let's go introduce ourselves. What could go wrong? Besides everything. begins.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Doctor.
There has been quite a battle here. I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed.
Interesting.
It's locked, all right.
I didn't exactly expect the club to be a charnel house, but stranger things have happened, I suppose, in games. Found the back door.
I cannot enter.
interesting. Perhaps I finally found a replacement for that Liston. Well, they're just going to leave money laying around. It is best to remove the items, of course, lest they fall into the wrong hands. Basement key. Interesting. Suspect in that room there that would have been some sort of vintage room. Place that you would normally distill like fine wine or scotch or something along those lines. Of course, since they're bloody vampires, you'd obviously assume it's blood, but you never know, maybe they've got hobbies. Alright, enough delaying. Let's go see what they want.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Hear, hear, hear!
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
She's a close friend, and I'm honored that she feels the same about me.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Of course, we still have to have some sexism to go along with the racism of the time.
Why have you asked me here?
Because the crisis is escalating. Our enemies, the Garda Priwen, have even launched an open hunt. The only way to calm things down is to put an end to the epidemic.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End? Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No, I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
Oh, that's reassuring. You want me to join as a servant, and then you simply talk about how you're ready to throw them away at a moment's notice. Oh well, let's join up.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed. in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation.
Ha.
Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
God, who doesn't smell a damn trap with this?
I personally went patrolling last night in the West End, and I spotted at least 2 foreign Ekons. This is an outrage. We shall chase these intruders down.
I was chased by a gigantic Valcod 2 nights ago. I thought it was Fergal coming back, but no. That creature barely spoke English.
Oh, great. Now we're gonna have to fight more Fergals as common enemies.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece? Figuratively.
I feel perfectly fine. Do I have cause for concern?
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah. Vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
It does do that with age.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret, shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Mr. Dawson? Of Dawson and Dawson? The wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Yes, you need a cure.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
Ladies and gentlemen, apparently we found the Donald Trump of the Spanish flu era.
Complete isolation has proven effective throughout history, but the death toll has always been a high one.
I am glad you understand the concept of necessary sacrifice.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now.
Sacrifice the poor and the sick. Leave them to die while the rich and the powerful stay alive. How fitting to a certain modern time period that we...
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago. Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
I see.
You were spying on me?
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed. Until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No, he was a Volcod. All muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed. Ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him?
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Yes, by dashing in circles and hitting and running him. A very noble style of battle. One worthy of a knight.
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Scals in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Skulls.
I have met peaceful and wise Skulls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Skulls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results.
I see.
How's your investigation going, Dr. Reed?
I have a few questions.
All right, but be quick.
You made me swear on the blood of William Marshall during my initiation ceremony. Why was that?
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived. He served 5 kings, and was a living example of probity for all. And he was my maker.
William Marshall was a vampire? Is this some sort of joke? Wait. Could he be my maker?
That would be joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight has left this world for good.
Why is his blood so sacred to the Ascalon Club?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known. I fought by his side at the Battle of Preston, and he made me his progeny following the fight.
May I ask you about the mortal who attended my initiation? Mr. Aloysius Dawson.
A member of the club does not normally ask questions about other members. We trust each other mutually.
So he really is a member, then?
Indeed. Only the most eminent members are allowed to attend such ceremonies. Even if I admit some of us fled during the first hours of the Great Hunt.
Yes. It's funny how you're safe behind your walls and your doors and your manners, and you want me to go out and slaughter the Skulls for you. How noble of you, Lord Redgrave.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal. Are you not afraid he might reveal who you are? Especially to your enemies.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not grant access to the unworthy.
What can you tell me about the Great Hunt?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
I have already met Geoffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Skulls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Skulls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
An interesting strategy.
What about the risk of a full-scale attack here? Geoffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club. I'll die defending it.
How noble that you'll defend it. But yet you won't go out to stop it.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave.
Godspeed, Dr. Reed. We are counting on you.
I personally went patrolling last night in the West End, and I spotted at least 2 foreign Ekons. This is an outrage. We shall chase these intruders down.
back out into the night we go. Perhaps one of these days I might even buy that power it mentions in the corner. An ability to cloak would be quite handy. For those of you who are watching, if you're enjoying this, feel free to follow
I think
along.
Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire.
Women of all countries unite!
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Interesting.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been quite busy.
It has been such a long time since I last went to the theater. Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
So two potential sources of infection.
Have you noticed anything suspicious?
Good evening, old chap.
I won't lie to you, Johnny. I'm not a well man.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
You need some rest.
I feel, if possible, I should upgrade my equipment.
She sometimes sneaks out alone and can't.
he's actually in the office there. Let's check gear. So the weapons are currently the same. There's no difference. One more good handle. Should have the money to be able to afford the part.
It's locked, all right.
Mary? Oh, my dear daughter. How are you tonight?
I remember Sunday walks in the park.
He's hidden a letter. You would expect it to be there after so long. Only video game logic. But it will be somewhere in that park.
Aubrey, I'm not sure visiting Italy is a good idea this time of the year.
Please, sir, whether you need to buy something or not, I am happy to help. Good evening, Doc.
I may have a look at your goods.
How are you tonight? How is your sweet boy?
At last, we've improved our weapon and increased the damage. Perhaps we'll fare a little better against some of these other creatures. I would rest and increase my abilities, but I have a feeling I should not let this Chimera die. Which is probably what will happen if I go to sleep.
This is now my domain, you... Ah!
Ouch. Blast. You're caught. This is going to be a hard fight. Vampires not easy to slay when I am significantly underleveled by comparison. But I have a feeling if I rest and buy abilities and raise my level that they'll kill off Chimera. And I may lose out on something valuable. This is going to be difficult, perhaps. Oh, lovely. Great place to wake up to.
You're mine, vermin!
Better. Actually, this isn't so bad. again against this vampire. See if we have any luck.
You Londoners are no match for me! Help me!
Get off. Little busy right now. Come on, vampire, let's dance. Yeah.
You cannot win this!
We're getting there. Get out of there. It's getting weaker.
You're mine! What do you want?
Die, foolish vampire. Let me get your money first.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Do you need help, sir?
I think I'm fine. But what happened to my jailer? Be careful. He's as vicious as he is strong.
You don't have to worry about him anymore. What happened here?
I am Tadao Kimura. I was imprisoned by this lunatic for several days. I thought I was going to die here.
You're not going to die now, Mr. Kimura. If you hurry, you should be able to get home safely.
It seems that I owe you my life. You have all my gratitude, Dr. Reed, since it is the most precious thing I possess.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
Interesting. That to them, the two vampires were to have a immortal child that it would be considered cardinal sin. Now that he is saved, we can heal. Well, we're already healed, but we can rest. And finally spend all this experience. Clearly, I need to raise my blood reserves. Much better. Oh, why not? One more. It is definitely time to rest. Many I haven't met yet. They are still healthy. Pembroke is stable. Lots of fatigue. Yes, we are much stronger. And actually have some bloody reserves of things. Ready to continue on, but I should actually head out the other door. see if we can now purge the infection. Now that we are stronger.
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for? I cannot enter.
Of course not. Back to you again. Get off. Got to heal. Much better. gate along here.
This is despicable.
That may be, but you're gonna keep doing it. Hello? Much better. Seems the source of an infection is the result of a husband cheating on his wife. Not exactly what I would expect, but I do appreciate the firearm. Ah. Those guys dance around each other.
I've never seen such a radical mutation. Could it be a new stage in the disease's evolution? So the husband had an affair with Doris Fletcher.
Interesting. I wonder if she's still around. Could this whole thing be tied to a mere STD? It'd certainly be different. Although not entirely unexpected. We shall see then, I suppose. For any of you that are watching, please feel free to follow me here. I would greatly appreciate it, as I am trying to work my way towards affiliate status.
I have this thirst for blood.
I'm sure you do.
This is despicable.
Of course. But one must fill one's blood up.
Women of all countries unite! Support the equality between men and women!
Funny that he prints these out as a warning, even though he literally lives.
We
near
meet
the
again,
HQ.
Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed, still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
Understandable.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I don't know. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Draco. My favorite constellation.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations. Yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars align to a specific configuration.
Yes.
Star.
You're right.
Protection.
Draco.
Memory.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
I almost forgot what it feels like to live an ordinary life.
Good evening, old chap.
I won't...
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already. Unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
Clarence, I'm your friend, so I'm not going to judge you. But think about your wife, your family. You're in pain, and you need help. I can help you.
I don't need a doctor, Jonathan. I need my best friend to trust me.
Clarence,
I have to...
Vampire.
I'm not mad.
Clarence.
I don't need...
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin, the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End. But as a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please, gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
Oh, the 10 tons of irony with that one.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here? I need to find out what they're after.
Oh my god! I'll put an end to you! I'll kill you! I'll put an end to you!
Seems it's always best to bet on the claw over the blade. blood sample that will let me...
This woman's body has multiple lacerations. They're deep, too. Whoever did this was driven by rage.
Wonder if it'll be a Volcoid.
He had his tongue removed and his eyes gouged out. He was a victim of brutal torture.
Somebody went to town in here.
This one's neck is broken. He was young. Probably the son.
You thought I was dead too, didn't you? No, I was just pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You killed your family.
They mocked my talent. Ah!
Fights predictably. Forgot about that. Force the body to keep repairing.
So, this girl took lessons at the famous Doris Fletcher acting school.
Interesting connection.
Doris Fletcher seems to be the missing link here. It can't just be a coincidence. I should go to her acting school.
Ah, interesting.
I'd step back, sir. Don't come no closer. It's one of them! Stop!
Die, preacher. You don't belong in this world.
Equality between men and women. Women of all countries unite.
Maybe I shouldn't leave the city.
Let's go see the lady and update her. Perhaps she'll have some new information. Shocking, the woman raised by a vampire wants to become a vampire. Cure for the red thirst.
Good evening, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm still investigating from inside the Ascalon Club. Can we talk?
Of course, my dear.
How is your investigation going?
I have decided to explore beyond the dictates of reason.
What do you mean?
You may on occasion find this house closed when you visit me. If so, it is because I have gone undercover. Sort of.
Who are you going to surveil? I hope you're not considering spying on McCullum or the Guard of Priwen.
No. I intend to ask a few questions in parts of town I rarely venture into. Dirty places where a delicate lady like myself should never be seen.
When will you return?
As soon as possible. And I don't intend to stay away for long.
There are many paintings adorning the walls here.
Yes?
Did you paint them?
No, my dear. But some of them. I have had a long time to learn from the best. I'm currently working on what could be my greatest masterpiece.
What is this masterpiece?
Your portrait, my dear Jonathan. It will be my gift to you, if I ever have time to finish it.
Have you met any famous painters?
Are you trying to divine my age by cross-checking historical dates, my dear? That's a devious parlor trick.
Well, Elizabeth, I tried my best. Don't I deserve some reward at least?
Well, if you must know, I even posed for the greats. Now that you know it, you may recognize me when visiting museums.
I have investigated new sources of infection, and I may have found a new type of skull. One suffering from heavy mutations that is extremely contagious.
Skulls come in various forms, you know. They are simply degenerate versions of their makers.
I believe these families are different, and I'm currently pursuing a lead. I know I can find the true source of contagion by finding who created these creatures.
That would be great news. Be very careful, my dear, when dealing with such creatures.
Goodbye, my dearest.
Goodbye, my beloved.
Well, that didn't take long.
It's locked, all right.
Naturally. To any of you still watching, I would greatly appreciate if you would give me a follow. I'm trying to build this channel up by providing entertainment, and at least a dark, witty comment or seven. Your follows will help me get closer to an affiliate status, and I would greatly appreciate your efforts in aiding me to achieve that goal. So we have found a Volcoid.
You shall... Give me your blood!
How about I take yours?
It's locked, all right.
Naturally. Never the front.
Best stay back, sir.
Always the back.
Stay away!
Funny how you didn't aid your friends when I was butchering them.
There's an open window on the second floor. I should be able to get in through that.
Window, door. Close enough. Alright, Doris.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites. For in front of you stands the tall queen. You can but lower your head. It only...
Can that be Doris Fletcher's voice? Where does it come from?
Stage, where else? Going to have quite a few blood samples to analyze.
Will they adore me again when they share my fate? For I have been raised through hate. But I offer only love.
Love is a funny phrase to use in the creation of a plague that infects an entire city.
Alas, poor Doris. I knew her well. And many had said...
Yes, and I have a nice cudgel I'd love to introduce to her.
For now she hides in shadow, ugly and sick. But when you burn and die, and be free again.
It's locked.
They're always locked.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites. For in front of you stands the tall queen. You can but lower your head, fit only to smirk at her soiled feet. Who are you? You who dared enter my realm. Are you here to worship or mock me?
I'm here to put an end to the vampire epidemic, Miss Fletcher.
Ah. But Doris Fletcher is no more. She was consumed by this putrid flesh that now enshrouds her.
You feel anger for what happened to you. But I can help you. I'm a doctor, Miss Fletcher.
Doris Fletcher is no more. All that remains are the dreams of the queen she was, and the queen she'll be. Until then, all shall die, for that was her final wish. Woe and arise, and save your queen, my slave. Ha! Your hand is shaking. Ha! On guard! Touché, sir! I smell your fear. My blade shall pierce your villainous heart. On guard. Your hand is shaking. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Come to me, my servant. Touché, sir. Your hand is shaking. I smell your fear. On guard. Your... Touché, sir. Your hand is shaking. Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she whose beauty was once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate? Woe unto thee, son of Babylon!
Utterly ridiculous. This is irritating.
Your blood will be mine! Your hand is shaking. I smell your fear. My children, my beloved, dive! On guard. My blade shall pierce your touches. I smell your fear. On guard. Your hand is shaking. Woe unto thee, son of Babylon! Touche, sir! On guard! Your hand is shaking. Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of Shield. She was once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate? You can't. I smell your fear. Come to me, my servants! Avenge me! Your blood will be mine! And save your queen, my
Oh, come on.
My blade shall pierce your villainous heart, dark prince. I summon thee, my children of the night. Bite, name, spit, kill. Hear the bay, for your queen commands you. Attack! Woe unto thee, son of Babylon!
Well, this has become infuriating. I get hit with this gas, apparently it's just death.
Woe unto thee, son of Babylon! Touche!
Wow! Wouldn't even let me move.
On guard!
Defeated nothing.
Woe unto thee, son of Babylon! Touche! Ha! Ha! Your hand is shaking. Ah! Ha! I smell your fear. Ha! Hear and obey for your... Ha! Ha! On guard! Ha! Ha! I smell your fear. Ha! Ha! On guard! Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate? place! Come to me, my servants! Avenge me! I summon thee, my children of the night! Bite! Maim! Spit! Kill! Ha! You killed my father! Prepare to die!
Not this time. Well, currently I'm about debating on saying fucking this game and breaking it into pieces. This is quite infuriating right now. The drain that gas does is complete and utter bullshit. Of course, it doesn't regenerate my equipment. Going to have to go back and obviously rest up.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Because clearly I'm in no state. Apparently the skulls regenerated. Alright, clearly this is not going to be my night to end on. So I'm going to end this recording for now and probably do some stuff off screen in order to improve myself. Forgive me for having a frustrating time here, but given the nature of this, I'm sure you can understand why. Regardless, thank you for watching. is I, the Dark Mercenary, and I will leave you with this thought. That no matter what happens in life, never give up, never surrender, no matter the cost. Have a good night.